Marianne, what's in your memo?
I'll tell you. Thank you, Robbie. The historic mission of the United States is for every generation to, quote unquote, form a more perfect union, for our ideals of liberty and justice for all to apply to ever larger portions of the American population. That would mean not just white, but also black, not just men, but also women, not just straight, but also gay, and so on. That's not DEI, it's our national creed. Today, however, an ugly trend has once again reared its ugly head. The idea that America belongs not to all its people, but only to its very, very rich people. The power wielded by our new multi-billionaire class is tearing at the very heart of our commitment to a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We become a nation of the billionaires, by the billionaires, and for the billionaires. A grotesque idea that Elon Musk is busy turning into public policy. Now, nowhere is this more evident than in the DOGE-led decimation of our National Park Service. The NPS manages 433 parks, covering over 85 million acres across the United States, huge swaths of our country, from Yellowstone in Wyoming, Mount Zion in Utah, the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, Yosemite in California, the Grand Canyon in Arizona, the Grand Tetons in Wyoming, to Wrangell, St. Elias in Alaska, and more. Our national park system is a priceless treasure that, according to an act of Congress in 1916, is jointly owned by all the citizens of the United States. And yet, oh, you guessed it, DOGE got in there and started doing its demolition work, firing 1,000 people, and with plans to cut $587 million, or 17% of the National Park Service budget. Teresa Pirno, National Parks Conservation Association's president, in a statement said, quite simply and astonishingly, this dismantles the National Park Service as we know it, ranger by ranger and brook by brook, brick by brick. The purpose of the Park Service is to protect and enhance our public parks for present and future generations, not feed the insatiable economic appetites of private interests. And what are those private interests so eager to get their greedy little hands on our national parks? You probably guessed it. Oil and gas. President Trump, clutching Project 2025 ever closer to his heart, prioritizes energy exploration and production on federal lands and waters, including oil and gas leasing. The Interior Secretary has ordered a preview of current oil, gas, and mining regulations on public lands with the goal of reducing barriers to energy development. This is a clean break from history, where presidents from all sides have embraced the idea of preserving precious land for more than a century. So good luck, everyone. If you're thinking you just can't wait to show little Junior the Grand Canyon someday, because if the Trump and Musk administration get their way, that's going to be a big fat maybe. After all, the plan is that it won't really belong to you anymore. It will be in the hands of Trump and Musk. It doesn't mean to them the awesomeness of nature, the protection of wildlife, watersheds for clean water, endless recreational opportunities, economic drivers for local communities, and our responsibility to be good stewards of the earth. No. To them, it means drill, baby, drill. It means mining. It means real estate development. And all of that means the theft of public resources by those who represent private interests. Make no mistake about it. And this and in so many other things, that's what they are there to do. Everything being stolen from us will then be sold back to us. Governance according to billionaires' interests thus made the rule and no longer the exception in the United States of America. Thomas Jefferson said, "It is the general tendency of the rich to prey upon the poor." Here in the United States, we're supposed to guard against that, not help it happen. Our current bro-purveyors of crony capitalism, pretending, of course, to only be there in the public interest, are on a burglary spree of our public lands. It remains to be seen whether we, the people, will allow them to do it.
Look, I want to preserve the Grand Canyon and our beautiful outdoor spaces as well. I don't think there's much disagreement on that. We don't want to turn the earth into some unlivable hellscape, but we also need to produce more energy, be less reliant on energy from hostile foreign powers. We certainly want to move in a green direction. I don't have any problem with that. I only have a problem with asking people to make their lives more miserable now in order to protect some point in the future. I just don't think that's a winning agenda. In terms of the stewardship of the land, look, I want to turn more of it over to the people. Right now, the federal government, the Interior Department, manages 75% of federal land. The actual country, the physical spaces is managed by the federal government, especially as you move further and further west. Vast acres and acres and acres sitting in the hands of the federal government that is not used for anything. We have a housing crisis in this country. You know that, Marianne.
We have a what crisis?
A housing crisis.
We
need to build more housing for people. And I was just listening to Doug Burgum, who is actually probably one of my favorite members of the Trump administration, talking with the HUD secretary about making more of that land available for development, for affordable housing. Who can be opposed to this?
Oh, I can be opposed to it. And first of all, let's talk about this for a moment. It would not be used for affordable housing. It would be used by real estate developers, okay? And probably not for affordable housing.
Develop housing.
They are actually gutting the parts of housing and urban development which have to do with affordable housing. So that's where you develop affordable housing, and they are gutting that and firing the lawyers who are making those real estate developments.
The prices of houses will go down if we build more houses.
Yeah, okay.
It's a supply issue that's artificially constrained by government.
And
look
you
at
want
California.
To use the public lands. So let's talk about the public part.
I want to make it legal to build houses for people.
I know you do. Well, no. Because if you want to make it legal to build low-cost housing, then you don't cut HUD and the parts of that agency that are in charge.
You don't need a massive bureaucracy to do it. The market takes care of this.
Because the marketplace would do it.
Here is land. You can build houses.
Okay, let me respond, please. Okay. First of all, it was an act of Congress, and prior to this administration, both Republican and Democratic presidents respected the Constitution, respected the fact that Congress is the legislative branch. Congress established the National Park Service. No president, Democrat or Republican, should be able to come in there and say, not really, because we want to use it for oil and gas, we want to use it for mining, and now this thing, low-cost housing, this would not be used for low-cost housing. The kinds of people who would want to build on some of that land, given the fact that by definition it's some of the most beautiful land in the country, they would not be developing for low cost. They would be developing it for people who would want to build mega.
People who move into those houses then move out of their houses, which are freed up for less affluent people. There's a artificial constraint on the supply of housing because government at every level makes it very, very hard to build anything.
Which means
this is why we're a stagnating country, Marianne, because we can't build anything because government regulation makes it too costly. Sometimes at the local level, sometimes put in place by conservatives who are like, there'd be the shadows or the wind would be too bad if you had a big building here. This building can be, artificial height caps on buildings. That's part of California's whole problem. No, just let property be developed by the people who own it.
Come in there, take whatever they want, do whatever they want.
It would dramatically lower prices.
It would dramatically lower prices. It would also dramatically, and I'm not, over time it actually wouldn't, but even to the extent to which it would on a temporary basis, it would dramatically lessen the capacity of the majority of Americans to thrive. Yes, it would. No. We are dealing with a constant and routine transfer of wealth into the hands.
If you make it illegal to build houses, there will be fewer houses and they'll all cost more.
So you want to build you're admitting that you want real estate development on public lands.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, well.
Yes.
All right, I stay with it.
We're not in the state of nature, Marianne, where we're trying to preserve the woolly mammoth. The planet exists for our benefit. I don't want to, we can absolutely preserve and designate some beautiful, it's a large country, there's a lot of land in it. We don't need to, bulldoze Mount Rushmore or the Grand Canyon or whatever, but there is so much land sitting, there's parking lots owned by governments all over major cities that could be developed into housing for people. I don't think that's what
we're talking about. We're talking about the actual care of the National Park Service here. Okay. The National Park Service, one of the most treasured cherished lands in our country, which have to do with 85 million acres where people, millions of people go every year, and they enjoy the beauty and they enjoy bequeathing this extraordinary treasure of the North American continent to their children. And if you don't like it,
No, I wanna
then you
preserve-
should,
it's a beautiful
hold on a second, you should support congressmen and senators who will change the law, not support a president or DOGE going in there and making it different so that the free market, as you celebrate so much, the unfettered
I don't
capitalist
think
free
Elon is
market
trying to cut
can
down a
just
single
use
redwood
everything.
tree.
Pardon?
I don't think Elon is out there trying to chop down a single redwood tree. But
Well, what do you think's happening then? What do you think is happening if they are taking 1,000 jobs away and they are taking millions of dollars away from the budget? You say he'd never touch a redwood tree? I hope he'd never touch a redwood tree, but I don't trust that he wouldn't, because he says, this is what he says to his young Turks over there in his little tech group. This is what his words were: if you see if you see a regulation that seems dumb, remove it.
music to my ears.
Ah.
Wait, we have to preserve dumb regulations for the
No,
sake of
I
dumb?
don't think 5 young guys should be the ones to make that decision of what regulation should be removed. We have a democratic process here. What you're talking about is dictatorship and authoritarianism, where a few individuals just to come in and say, we don't like that, we don't like that. And that is really the issue. You're not really into this democracy thing. You're not really into
I'm
this
not
rule by law
into-
thing. You're not really into this Constitution thing, right?
Right, I care
Right?
more about the material conditions
I
of
know-
people than following stupid bureaucratic rules that make their lives worse.
Well, well, hold on a second, because I think we would agree on the fact that the material conditions of people is, in fact,
Of
securing
people,
those.
not of plants, of people.
No, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
But
Yeah,
nature
yeah. We
is
get it.
also enhances our well-being and should to some degree be preserved, but we also
some
need
extent
the
should be
freedom to
preserved.
develop and build so that people can live better
Then
lives.
support the
And we disagree
congresspeople
on
who
how to
might
do that.
change that law.
I'd have to look at it more closely.
Yes, of course you
Develop an
would.
opinion, Marianne. Up next, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is trying to explain what is going on with him, and no one is really buying it. We'll discuss. More Rising right after this.